Hello everyone, Sketchup fan here. Today I'm going to show you some tools or functionalities that are often forgotten in SketchUp. Maybe if you're a more advanced user, you may have heard of these, but especially if you're new to SketchUp, I'm pretty sure it will be something new to you. I'm sure you can find use to at least one of these functionalities to improve your workflow. First of all, I'm going to invite you to subscribe to my channel if you're interested in SketchUp related content, and to hit the bell to not miss my future videos. Now, without further ado, let's see what it's all about. Okay, the first tip is about selection. Well, everybody knows that you can select things with a box from right to left. You select everything that touches the box. From left to right, only the things that are directly within the box. The control adds to the selection. Shift alternates between two. You can add and can remove. And this is a very useful tool as well. One very famous application to this shift selection is to making stairs. For example, I'm going to take this geometry that I just made, group it, and then I find here a center point with which I can rotate and copy, pressing Ctrl. You see a plus sign appears here near my cursor. It means that I'm copying it. So I drop it here and I hit times, let's say 10. Because I want 10 steps, let's say. Then I just copy things over each other, all the steps, times 10, and then I delete the guides, and I select all my steps. Then I can use the Shift key to invert the selection and delete, and bam, I have the stair. And what many people don't know is that you can remove things from the selection only in SketchUp. There's a native function for that, but for some reason not many people know it. Again, if you are an experienced user of SketchUp, maybe you know that, but many people learn SketchUp, sometimes they use it for years and they don't know that you can remove things from selection. And if you press Shift and Ctrl at the same time, you only remove from the selection. And it's very useful if you have plenty of stuff selected and you just want to remove stuff from the selection. Sometimes when you're using Shift to remove from the selection, it's kind of difficult. You see, it makes things worse. So with Shift and Ctrl, you can just remove things from the selection. It's much easier. Sometimes you're building walls, some weird thing happens. Something like this. You try to pull up the wall and it comes blue like this, and you look down, you see that it doesn't have a face here. So what many people do is that they copy this face to the side and then they pull it up, and it solves the issue. But there's another way to solve that by using the add face mode to the push-pull command. All you have to do is while you're push-pulling, you press the Ctrl key and bam, the faces are normal. The only thing you need to worry about is down below the face that you push-pulled from, because it's reversed. But it's something easy to solve. You can click here and reverse faces, or alternatively, I, for example, set a shortcut for this, which I set as Ctrl R, and it makes things very easy. Using this functionality, you can also challenge the rules of SketchUp. How? Well, for example here, it tells me that I can offset only to a given distance, but if I hit Ctrl key, I can go anywhere I want. You see? If you want your geometry to be consistent, all you have to do is right click, intersect faces, in this case with a selection. Okay? So then you have all the edges that were missing there. Another thing that you could do with this functionality is, for example, for modeling. I just pull this up, then I could hit the Ctrl key, and it leaves like a section in between. And then I can use this to create these edges as I go. Another example where this functionality is useful, we have a stove and we have a worktop for a kitchen. I want to dig a hole here where the stove stays. So what I do is I move the stove in place, and then I pull the face with the add face functionality from both sides. Then I'll hide the stove real quick. Then I just select here, I delete. And of course I need to reverse these faces and hide the stove. There we have it. We're going to talk now about the scale tool. The scale tool is one of my favorite tools in SketchUp because you can do so many interesting stuff with it. You could, for example, mirror an object. All you have to do is this, and then you can type -1, and it's mirrored, perfectly mirrored. Let me undo this, because there's a functionality in the scale tool that's very similar to the one that the tape measure tool has. In case you don't know, in the tape measure tool, I could, for example, let's see, we have 200 centimeters here in this door. We want it to be, let's say, 100. Then you notice there is a plus sign near my cursor here. That's because it's in the add guide mode. If I hit Ctrl one time, it'll disappear. So I can measure here of 200. I just clicked. Let's set it to 100. And then it's going to ask you if you want to resize the model. Say yes. But be aware that it's going to change everything around this door. If I want to change just the door, I would have to get inside the group and do the same thing there, and it's not going to affect the rest of the model. But going back to the scale tool, let's say I want to change this door in only one dimension. Let's say the red axis. I don't want it to be 100 anymore. I want it to be 150. What I would have to do is use the scale tool, grow it or stretch it in the average direction that you want to stretch your door. You click it. It can be in a random position. It doesn't have to be anywhere close to where you want this door to measure. So you see here on the bottom right, you have the scale applied. It says 2. You want this door to measure 150. So you type 150 and the dimension. So I'm building this model in centimeters. I type cm. And then when I check in the model, oh, it's 150, exactly the measurement that I put. And it's interesting because not many people know about this functionality, and I find it really awesome. That's why I share with you. and it can be very useful too. Okay, now here's a tool that many people don't even know that exists in SketchUp, but to be honest, it's a tool that I've never used for anything. I never found this tool to be particularly useful, so it's just for the title of curiosity. There's a tool in SketchUp called Protractor, yes, and what it does, it allows you to create guides according to an axis, and you can rotate and place it where you want, but I don't see a lot of potential or utility for that, because I could, for example, just place a guide here and select the guide and rotate it. I don't see how it could be useful for me. So far I haven't found a use for the Protractor tools, then that's why I've never used it, to be honest. Even though I know it exists. So maybe you could leave a comment down below on how you can find an utility for the Protractor 2 that I have a very hard time pronouncing. Okay, now here's a tool that if you don't use this tool, stop all you're doing and pay attention now. You need to use this tool. This tool is very important if you want to use SketchUp. And many people, especially beginners, they don't know about it. Let's say I was building a wall in my model SketchUp, and my wall was inside a group, but I was distracted and I drew a part of the wall outside of the group that it should be within. So what do? It's simple. I just press Ctrl X, which is a native SketchUp, and it cuts that portion of the wall that just disappeared. It's not deleted. It's like a copy, but you remove it from the place. So what do I want to do? I want to paste this section of wall inside of this group. But now it's kind of difficult to tell where exactly it should be. And that's because you shouldn't be using the Ctrl V command like I did here. What you want to do, once you have cut the section of wall or whatever element that you cut, you come to Edit and Paste in Place, and it will copy the wall section exactly in the same place where you cut it in the first place. And then you can come here, of course, and just clean up the model a bit. So it's very useful if you want to move one object inside one group, if you are distracted or if you change your mind. It's very common when you're working in SketchUp to use this command, and that's why I made a shortcut for it. Let me show you. If you want to check your shortcuts, by the way, you go to Preferences and Shortcuts, and you can search here Paste in Place. I have assigned Ctrl-Shift-V to paste in place, and it's very handy. You see, let me just undo everything I did here. So I'm back to the state where I had already cut the wall. So I get inside group and Ctrl-Shift-V, and boom, there it is. Very easy, very fast. You're going to do this in the blink of an eye, very fast. And I completely recommend you use this command whenever possible, and also use your shortcuts. You can make custom shortcuts to all your SketchUp commands. For example, here I made a parallel projection, which I use very often too, for switching on and off the parallel projection and perspective. And that's the tips for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to get more content. See you next time.